All right, y'all. So this video is going to be primarily about, shouldn't be too long, number one, but it's going to be primarily about citrus, but it's also going to be about avocados as well. So these right here are calamandins. I know a lot of people are growing calamandins. I know a lot of people actually have issues out of calamandins. Now mine are looking a little spotted and peaked. The soil's too wet. Let me show y'all. Can y'all see in there? Y'all see how black that is? The soil's too wet. I watered it one day and then it rained. And that's basically what I want to talk to y'all about. I did not know. Well, first of all, let me start by saying I've had citrus trees for 6 or 7 years now. I had my kumquat and my navel orange. I bought it when I bought a bunch of trees on clearance at Walmart. They were originally $35. They marked the trees down to $5. I bought every fruiting or edible tree that they had. And at the time I bought loquat, kumquat, navel orange, 2 pears, 2 peaches, and an apple. I still have all those trees with the exception of one. I went on vacation, left somebody to water. They watered my loquat to death. So that's the only tree, one of those trees that I do not have. So I did not kill any of them. And I bought those trees when I was probably 6 months into gardening. Now, let me say this. Sorry, guys. Personally, I actually kind of warn new gardeners against getting trees. And I'm going to do a video on that about fruit trees and all that kind of stuff. And beginner gardening. That's probably going to be the next part of my beginner gardening series. I don't think that, it's not that I don't think that beginning gardeners should not get trees. I think there's just information that should be put out there before you run and get trees. Because I see people just watching certain people and then they just run out and get trees. And I get it. They get excited. Like Felix. Felix, do you want a fruit tree? Huh? You want a fruit? Look. Do you want a fruit? Who scratched you in the face? These cats. But anyhow, back to what I was saying. I'm going to do a video on that. That's not what this video is about. So, I did not have a calamandin until recently. I actually did not know about this plant or fruit until one of my friends told me about it. And she was like, have you ever heard of calamansis? I'm like, no, what is it? You know? That's why you keep people in your circle that know more than you know. You know what I'm saying? I'm like the dumbest person in my circle, believe it or not. Like, I keep people around me that know more than what I know because they can hit me to some stuff. Because if I ask the question and everybody in the circle like, oh no, and I'm like, oh no, I need to get some more friends. So she was like, her mother-in-law is Filipino, and she was like, yeah, it's kind of like a lime, kind of like, but it's not as sour or as bitter or tart as a Persian lime. It has a little bit of sweetness to it. So you can kind of think of, and calamansi is I don't know if it's the Filipino word for it or, you know, plants have different names, but the American word for calamansi is calamandin. So, and that's what you see on most plants. Why do you have a knot upside your... No, that's not a knot. He has paint or something in his fur. Felix. Anyway, calamandin is the English word for calamansi. So, you know, and after looking that up, I was like, oh, I've seen people growing those things. I didn't really know what they were. And then I saw them at the store, and I see a little bitty bush, and it's like $40 or $50. And I'm like, for a little 1 foot tall bush, what do we grow? Golden nuggets? Like, I'm not interested in paying that for these little bitty bushes. So, although I was intrigued by it, I didn't immediately run out and get it. Well, her being a friend that she is, she said, girl, you want some seeds? I said, yeah, send me some if you got some. So, of course, she sent me some seeds. I planted them, and here we have them. So, that's how I got calamandins. And at first, I'm thinking to myself, oh, I got 2 citrus trees. I've had them for 6 years. It can't be that hard. And it's really not that hard. And I'm going to be honest, I never really paid attention to what I did to my citrus trees versus my other plants. Sometimes I just garden by the seat of my pants. And I just go by how stuff looks and feels. I don't really go by, people give you a lot of conventional wisdom about stuff. No, it's really kind of an organic process for me. It's kind of like pay attention. My mother used to beat it into me all the time to pay attention. And back then I used to think it was stupid, but now I get it. I get why she was always telling me to pay attention. And you should really pay attention to everything. You shouldn't really let nothing get past you. So I pay attention. I come out here and I pay attention to my plants. I pay attention to how things look. I remember how things looked yesterday versus the next day, versus a week ago, versus a month ago. It's just simply about paying attention and having some forethought and having the intention of, I'm going to grow this stuff and I'm going to learn how it grows. And a lot of times you learn about yourself in the process. So when I planted those seeds, I'm going to tell you what I first started noticing. I was keeping them on a porch. They were in a much smaller pot, and they're not going to stay in this pot, y'all, because it's a lot of them in here. They're going to go in individual pots, but this is fine enough for now. Because actually what I'm doing is creating a microclimate. If it gets too cold, I can either really mulch this down heavily and cover it and protect this, and they'll be fine, versus if they were all in these different little pots. And if I didn't have room in the greenhouse or whatever, it just makes it harder to do. When they're like this, they're in a microclimate. You'll notice I haven't planted down a little bit. It's actually warmer beneath this surface than it is up here out in the air. So, that's how you help protect your plants a little bit. And like I said, I can mulch this real heavy with leaves, cover it, and these will be perfectly fine. So, like I was saying, I was keeping them on the porch, and I was watering them pretty frequently. And they were green, but they weren't really growing. Like, they got their baby leaves, and then they got their true leaves, which are these leaves. And then they stayed that way for a very, very long time. And I was like, why are these things not growing? And then something said, quit watering them. Just do something different. Don't water them as often as you've been watering them, because you can't water them anymore, because I'm touching the soil and the soil's moist. I'm like, I can't water them anymore. Just do something different. Stop watering them. I quit watering them. And after about a week, I noticed they had put new leaves out. I said, So I said, okay, I ain't going to water y'all. Y'all look good. Y'all standing up. You look pretty. I ain't going to water you. I went 2 more weeks, and they sit in the sun and bake. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to move these to a spot in the sun. And they sat there and baked, and they looked great. And I touched the soil, and the soil was bone dry, and they still looked great. One day I came out, and they had the leaves weren't all the way down, but they were just like limping just a little bit, just barely. And I said, okay, I'm going to water you now. I watered them. And that's when I water my calamondins, y'all. I never water my calamondins. I'll wait until they just about droop. And then something said, think about this more critically. Why is it that these things don't like water? So I said, where do citrus grow the most abundantly, naturally in America? Florida and South California, Southern California. And I said, okay, Florida. It rains there a lot in the summer, especially. Because I've been to Florida. I've been to all parts of Florida. I've been to Southern Florida, Northern Florida, Central Florida. I've been to Central Florida the most. But I've been to Miami and Fort Lauderdale, and I've been various places in Florida. Been to Jacksonville, been to Orlando lots of times. Been to Tallahassee, been to Pensacola, all them places. So I've been all over Florida, and I generally go in the summer. I've been to Florida only a handful of times in the wintertime. But in the summer, it rains profusely, especially Central Florida. It loves to do that thing where it pretty much rains every day. It doesn't rain all day. It'll just like sunshine, rain, sunshine, rain, sunshine, and it'll just rain for a few minutes. And a lot of times when it's raining, the sun's out. It's the weirdest thing in the world, but it does that. And I said, okay, well, they're getting a lot of rain, so how are citrus not drowning there? Because you can go to Florida and you can literally go on the side of the freeway and find oranges. You can go on amusement parks and find oranges growing, like just orange trees growing just wild. They didn't plant them. They're just there. And I said, well, how is this happening? And then I thought about it. I was watching a lot of different Florida gardeners and farmers and stuff, and they talk about their soil. Their soil is basically sand. And anybody that's been to the beach knows that sand doesn't hold water. You can put a handful of sand in your hand and put water in your hand. The water will run straight through it. And if you're in the sun, that sand will dry up immediately. Like, it doesn't take very long for sand to become dry. Like, just watch when the tide comes in. When the tide goes out, it doesn't take very long. And that sand that was once just like an hour or two ago underwater, that sand is bone dry. The tide can come back in, it'll get wet, tide go back out. Don't take long, sun shining, sand's dry. That's why they're not drowning. What they're growing in doesn't hold water. So therefore, they're not really, their roots aren't staying all that wet. Because in between rains, look at this. This is ridiculous. Because in between rains, their roots have an opportunity to dry out because it's sand. And I said, okay, what about Southern California? Well, it just flat don't really rain in Southern California. That's it and that's all. I mean, you know, they got songs about that. So citrus ain't one of these plants that love all this water. And I noticed that with my kumquat. I could go a long time without water in my kumquat. I'd wait till the leaves would droop and then I'd finally water it. My orange tree is pretty much the same. The only exception is they will take a little bit more water when they have fruit on them. But if your leaves start to do all that yellowing and stuff, just like, see how, like, look at this leaf. This is probably about the best example. See how green and evenly colored that leaf is? But you see how this one is starting to get splotchy? This one is splotchy. Y'all can see kind of the yellow variegations in it. But like I said, look at this soil. When this soil here gets really dry, it's not going to be pretty and black like that. It's going to like dry up and be more grayish colored. So what I'm going to do is, for this today, I'm going to grab this and pick this up. And it also might behoove you, if you got citrus, mix a lot of sand into your soil. If you live in a rainy area, you know you're going to get a lot of rain, mix some sand into your soil. It'll help the water run through a little bit better. I'm growing these in almost all organic matter because I don't want to feed them, really. I don't want to have to really feed them a lot. So that's why I'm growing them the way I'm growing them and what I'm growing them in. But what I can do to solve this problem is I can put this in an area where it's going to get a little bit more sunlight and the soil will heat up a bit more. And it'll dry that out. So it'll dry out the soil a little bit more. We haven't really been getting rain. I'll make sure that gets no water. But yeah, that's basically what you want to try to do. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, these people got their stuff planted in the ground, blah, blah, blah. I noticed that people with citrus trees that actually do pretty good, they either got them planted in clay-like soils or sandy loam soils. So a clay soil is very similar to sand with one exception. Clay actually will hold water. And it also gets very hard. But clay can be very nutrient dense as well. A lot of people think clay is poor nutrition. It's not. Clay actually can be very nutrient dense soils. The sandy loams speaks for itself. That's why stuff usually kind of grows pretty well. Sandy loam is actually a good medium in between. It'll hold some moisture, but it'll also a lot of your moisture, like it doesn't waterlog so much because it's like a mix between sand and really fertile soil. Well, I won't say really fertile, but nice soil. Clay is, if you touch it with your hand, it's kind of sandy-like, but it's sticky, if you get what I'm saying. Because, like, for instance, let me show y'all what my native soil is like. This is what I dug out of the hole to put my persimmon in. This is the dirt that I dug out. So, you see how it's kind of, and it rained about a week ago. And you can see how dry it is just already. Now, to me, if you got soil like this, just amend it, plant your citrus in it, leave it alone. Walk away. Mosquito. Gotcha. All that water and all that extra stuff, you're doing too much. When it gets cold in the wintertime, depending on your tree, you do want to protect it. Some things can get colder than other things. I'm going to try to read this tag and see what the temperatures are on this. This is the orange tree is hardy down to 32 degrees. So anything below freezing, that's not going to like it. I thought my kumquat tag wasn't on here, but it is still on here. The kumquat, no, this is the navel orange over here. The kumquat's hardy down to 32. The navel orange, it says it's hardy down to 32 as well. So anything below freezing, you might want to think about protecting it or creating a microclimate. If you can plant your citrus in an area where it'll get enough sunlight and plant it up against a house or something like that, what happens is your house heats up all during the day, and at night when you're supposed to get, let's say, 30 degrees, your tree probably really won't never get down to 30 degrees because your house is radiating heat all night. If you want to take it in a greenhouse, you can. Some people are into dragging their fruit, their stuff in and out of greenhouses all the time. I try not to do that. I try to create microclimates because it's just not, when you get older, that's not sustainable, dragging stuff in and out. It's better for you to find a way to grow it without having to do that. So a lot of people wonder, why did I grow under this tree? Why did I plant my trees kind of close together? Look at these. Because I'm creating a microclimate. If push comes to shove, I can take a tarp or something and put over this. And I know what people are going to tell me, oh, don't use plastic. You're going to kill it. No. I've done it. I used plastic for ages when I didn't have nothing else. I wasn't finna go buy frost cloths. And I'll get on that about them frost cloths in another video. Frost cloths are not bad, but you won't catch me buying them. And I'm going to tell you why. There's an alternative that's way cheaper. Unless you just like to spend money. Because I'm not going to lie. I see some gardeners. I mean, that's what they spend their money on. It's cool. But I ain't like that. You know what I'm saying? If I can get something done with something that work just as good for less. Is that a hummingbird? That bird is tiny. What kind of bird? Oh, no, that's a little finch. Oh, that's fascinating. Oh, it's tiny. Y'all, I'm about to make me some fountains, child. I'm finna get me some birds, some fountains. But I got to put them somewhere with the cats, because if the cats bring me a bird, I'm going to have a stroke. Y'all, I'm interested in using bird as pest control. That's another experiment for next season. I'm going to start this winter, though. But hopefully by next season, I have it popping in the birds. The birds can be some of my pest control. But anyway, that's horse of another color. But yeah, y'all, on your citrus. And y'all can see my kumquat says kumquats all over it, in case you can't see. And I do have some kumquat seedlings. 1, 2. I got 2 more seedlings. Little seedling, sapling. I'm willing to sell them. They came directly from seeds from this. And that was not crossed with anything, because when I collected those seeds, the only other citrus I had, and nobody else in the neighborhood had citrus, that wasn't bloomed. That hasn't bloomed. That hasn't fruited in a few years, because I almost killed it. When you almost kill your plants and they go through that amount of shock, you have to just let them just rebound. You can't expect for them to be sitting up making all this fruit, and you almost killed it. So yeah, and I almost killed it I didn't watch the weather. Y'all watch the weather. I almost killed it in the roots. The roots almost froze. And when the roots almost froze, that was almost the demise of the tree. But yeah, you can use plastic. There are ways to use plastic without killing your stuff. I actually have a really old video where I showed how I use plastic all around my plants. And I say, and it was warm. It was so warm in there. It was just like a greenhouse. And did I get some condensation on the inside? Yeah, I got some condensation on the inside. Did I get any diseases? And I know I didn't. There's a way to do it to where that doesn't happen. And if anybody wants to know how to do it, in the comment section, just using, cheap tarps, sheets of plastic. Hey, use what you got, people, because I'm sure y'all probably got plastic laying around. You do not need frost cloths. If y'all want to know about that, because I'm thinking about doing a video on winterizing your stuff and how to do so effectively and cost efficiently. If y'all want to see that video, let me know. But yeah, on your citrus, don't water them, y'all. Not really. Wait till they start limping down and then water them. Y'all be thinking they got nutrient deficiencies and all this, and pruning them ain't gonna always fix stuff. Yeah, pruning them does shock them and make them grow new leaves. But if you keep pruning your tree back like that, you're not fixing the problem. You want to get to the root of the problem. Basically, what you're doing is you're doing the same thing a doctor does. When a doctor keeps prescribing stuff is really not finding what the problem is. You want to find what the problem is. And you want to solve the problem and not just treat the symptoms. Just keep pruning is treating the symptoms. You don't want to do that. Okay? So, all this beat your trees and do all this other stuff, rap, all this so crazy stuff you hear people saying, that's not treating the problem. Shocking the hell out of them, by beating them and cutting all leaves off. And yeah, it will cutting any plant will shock it and cause it to grow, but you're not fixing the problem. So you just do that, and then you keep on doing what you've been doing and kill the tree anyway. So y'all do that. Pay attention to what you're doing. Pay attention to your plants. When all else fails, read about the plants and how they grow in nature, because all these plants started in nature. I don't care if they hybridized them or whatever they did to them, bred them in captivity. They all started in nature. So think about what a plant does in nature, how it would naturally grow the best, and go towards that. And that's probably going to give you some of the best, that's probably the best advice you can get, is advice you get from nature. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So just do that. All right? So questions or comments, leave them in the comment section. Appreciate y'all watching. I walked all up here. I still got okra blooming. It's slowing down, but it's still blooming. It's 80 degrees, what you expect. And my rat tail radishes, they doing what they're supposed to do, people. Go on the flower. The bees haven't found them yet. I'll be glad when the bees find them. I've been hand pollinating because I want some. I want to taste the pods. I'm going to show y'all the pods on the rat tail radishes. Show y'all what's up. So, yeah, but until next time, see you guys later.